Hey everyone, before we get started, hit that subscribe button and join the family. It really means a lot. I never imagined that one simple act of kindness could completely change my life. Not after all the heartbreak. Not after the separation that left me hollow and questioning everything I thought I knew about myself. My name's Alex Turner. I'm 42 and work as a mechanic in Seattle. For most of my life, I figured kindness was just talk, something people mentioned but rarely lived by. 3 years ago, my wife Emily walked out. No dramatic fight, no betrayal, just a tired look and the words, "I can't keep doing this anymore." She said we'd grown too different, too routine. She needed space, adventure, a clean slate. I nodded like I understood, but inside, I was breaking apart. The months after were gray and lifeless. I went to work, grabbed takeout, came home, and crashed. Routine filled the silence she left behind. My friends kept telling me to move on, maybe try dating again. But every attempt felt forced. Fake smiles, hollow talks. Her last words echoed through everything I did. Then one crisp October afternoon, something shifted, quietly, like real change often does. I was in line at a cafe when the older man ahead of me dropped his wallet. It was worn, faded leather with scuffed corners. I picked it up and handed it to him before he even realized it was gone. He smiled, embarrassed, and insisted on paying for my coffee. I declined, but he laughed and said, "You never know how small kindness comes back around. Maybe someday." It sounded cliché, but his sincerity stuck with me. That night, I sat thinking about how closed off I'd become, how bitterness had crept into every part of my day. I wasn't cruel, just numb. And somehow, that felt worse. So without some grand revelation, I made a small choice, to do one kind thing every day. Not for others, for myself. To remember what it felt like to give without expecting anything back. I started small, feeding someone's parking meter, helping a neighbor with groceries, leaving a bigger tip for a tired server. None of it was huge, but little by little something inside began to thaw. My mornings didn't feel so heavy. My nights weren't so empty. I started noticing people again, their faces, their stories, their struggles that mirrored my own. And then, in mid-December, I saw her again. Emily. I was at the supermarket, and she was by the produce section, hair shorter, wearing the same fleece jacket I'd bought her one Christmas. She noticed me, paused, then smiled. That polite, cautious smile people give when they don't know what version of you they're about to face. "Alex," she said softly. "Hey." Her voice still carried that warmth I used to wake up to. We made small talk, how she'd been, how I was doing. It wasn't tense, but it wasn't easy either. Just steady. And as she walked away, I felt a flicker, not longing, but curiosity. Not about her, but about who I'd become since she left. A week later, fate or something like it intervened again. That night, a storm rolled in. Wind howled, sleet lashed against the glass. Driving home, I spotted a car pulled over on the shoulder, hazard lights blinking, one tire shredded. I slowed and parked. When the door opened, my breath caught. It was Emily. She looked startled at first, then gave a shaky laugh. "Alex, what are the odds?" Without a second thought, I took off my coat and handed it to her. "Get back in the car," I said. "You'll freeze." As I changed the tire, she stayed inside, peering through the fogged-up window. When I finished, she rolled it down slightly and said, "You didn't have to stop." I smiled faintly. Yeah, I did. It wasn't about winning her back. It wasn't about proving anything. It was just decency, the kind that doesn't need an audience or a reward. As I drove off, I caught a glimpse of her in the mirror, standing in the rain, my coat pulled tight, watching my taillights fade. And for the first time in years, something stirred inside me. Not grief, not regret, possibility. The days that followed were quiet, but she lingered in my thoughts, like a song you can't quite shake. I didn't reach out, didn't text. Just kept doing my small good deeds and let things be. But life has a way of circling back. A week later, there was a knock on my door early Sunday morning. It was Emily, my coat folded neatly in her hands. She smiled, not that cautious smile from the store, but a real one. Thought I'd better return this before it turned into a hostage situation, she joked. I laughed softly. You could have texted. I deleted your number, she admitted, almost sheepish. Didn't think you'd want me to have it anymore. We stood there for a moment, the silence between us no longer heavy, just fragile. I asked if she wanted to come in for coffee. She hesitated, then nodded. Inside, everything looked the same, just cleaner, calmer. She noticed the small plants by the window, the books lined neatly on the shelf, the framed photo of us I still hadn't tucked away. You kept that? She asked quietly. Some memories don't need erasing, I said. We talked for over an hour, about work, mutual friends, the everyday things that fill the years apart. She told me she'd moved twice, started her own branding business, and was still figuring things out. But beneath her stories, I sensed something deeper. Exhaustion, not physical, but emotional. You seem different, she said finally. Lighter somehow. I stopped waiting for people to fix me, I replied. Started with small kindnesses. They made me feel human again. Her eyes softened, and for a moment, I saw the woman I'd once danced with barefoot in our kitchen, not the distant one who walked away. Over the next few weeks, she came by more often. Sometimes with a reason, sometimes without one. She'd bring coffee, or leftovers from something she'd cooked too much of. I didn't overthink it, just let it flow. Then one night, she showed up after work, drenched from the rain, nervous but determined. She sat on the couch, hands fidgeting. Can I say something? She asked. I nodded. That night you helped with my car, it wasn't just about the flat tire. It reminded me what real kindness looks like. No games, no strings, just genuine. I didn't interrupt. Just listened. She continued, voice trembling slightly. I thought leaving would make me happy. I wanted excitement, something new. But all I found were people chasing moments, not meaning. You were steady, and I called it boring. Maybe I wasn't ready for calm. Her words hung softly between us. I looked at her, really looked, and saw how time had changed us both. I'm not the man you left, I said quietly. And you're not the woman I married. That doesn't have to be bad. It just means we start from here. She smiled faintly. Then let's start here. No movie-style kiss, no music swelling in the background, just two people, sitting close, uncertain but honest, in a silence that finally felt peaceful. Weeks turned into months, and we took it slow. Some days we talked for hours, others we didn't speak at all. But slowly, something real grew. Not from the past, but from understanding. Because kindness had sparked it. A simple choice to be good when bitterness would have been easier. And maybe that's what made it stronger. One warm spring evening, as the sun dipped over the water, the same place we'd walked after our wedding, Emily slipped her hand into mine. No vows this time, she said softly. Just a promise to be kind to each other again.